No, I came up with a lot of points, and in my wisdom, I shut them down.
Good. That's growth.
Welcome to the Far More Podcast. Hey, Liz.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
All right, here we are with another surprise podcast snack for Jason. He has no idea what we're talking about.
Well, before we get into all that, I just want to, on the front end, say hello. If this is your first time here, we are a married couple who could not be more
Happily
different.
married.
Well, I am.
I am too.
Okay, good. High five.
I mean, most days.
Wait, okay. I mean, that's real. That's fair. I was going to say more, but let's not get off track.
I digress.
I suggested to you that we start off our next episode with a prayer for a certain thing that's going on. And do you remember what your response was when I said that?
The prayer? No, the topic. My response was, hey, we need to make sure we have enough education and understanding to have a discussion about this topic.
Right. But so then yesterday I said, you know, we really do need to pray about this, I think, on the episode. And you said, I need to have all the information first. And do you remember what my response was?
Well, I wasn't talking about the prayer, I don't think. I think I was still talking about the topic.
I don't think so. And here's why. Because when I said what I said, your face went. And for those who are listening, he looked like,
what did you say?
What? I said, you don't have to have all the information about something before you pray about it. And your face, for those who are just listening, his face was like a mixture of, what in the world are you talking about? And he also looked at me like maybe I had a third eye on my forehead.
So hang on.
Well, no, I'm not quite done yet. So
do I get to defend myself at all?
No,
I don't.
No, this is not an attack on you. It is, but it's also something that I'm willing to bet other people sort of have this same mindset that, well, I can't pray for something, you know, insert whatever that something is. I can't pray for that something before I have all the information. And I just do not believe that is a good way to think about things.
Well, what I'm really saying there is I don't know what to pray for. Like, I get your same answers and rules are going to apply there.
100%.
But my brain is like, okay, I at least want to, I'm not good at just going, I don't know, I have no answers, blah, blah, blah. I at least have a position. Hey, here's my position. Here's what I believe, I think. Is this right? And I think when I don't have enough information to have a position, that's where I'm like, hey, I feel like I need to consume more information to have a position to frame up my belief system, to then frame off my discussion, my prayer, my whatever.
I just think that you're overthinking it on this one.
No, that's my natural disposition. There's no overthinking that. My natural disposition is going to be collect information, have a position, have a desired direction or a direction I think I should go with this.
Okay.
And this is in all aspects.
Okay. So you feel like you have to have a position on something before you can talk to God about it.
Before I can talk about it, period. That God, you, whatever. I think I am not good starting with a blank sheet of paper. Like I have to have some kind of construct.
Okay.
And if construct doesn't exist, I have to create it.
So if you can't determine a position, does that mean you don't pray about it?
No, that means I've exhausted the possibilities that I can create a construct.
Okay.
And then I'm going to bring it's like, hey, I don't even know where to begin here. Then I'm going to. My challenge is my independent nature.
Do you ask God to show you the right position?
Yes, but my independent nature is I'm going to do everything I can do first.
Right.
That's the issue. I'm gonna do everything I can do first. If I haven't done the things that I'm supposed to do, then I have this. This is not right. I have this. I shouldn't even bring this to God yet, because I haven't even done the things that I'm supposed to do. I know the things I'm supposed to do, and if I haven't done those, then get that in order first. That's just my independent nature. Like, do everything I can do so God can do everything I can't do.
Control the controllables is what you're saying.
No, put in the work.
Put in the work.
Put in the work. If I haven't put in the work, I feel unworthy to even approach a holy God.
But girl, okay.
Right? Because I'm like, God's given me the ability to reason and put in work. And if I haven't done those basic things yet, like, and again, it's me projecting myself as God, which I get that. I'm going to go, dude, do the basic thing first.
Okay.
Then come talk to me.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
Tell me the secret, girl.
You are never worthy enough to come to God.
Oh, 100%. I understand that.
Okay.
Which means I am...
Because when you said...
No. Let me finish. Which means I'm never going to flippantly do it. Like, if I have not done anything, I'm definitely not going to a holy God.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying flippantly do it.
To me, if you haven't done the thing, you're going
then
flippant.
It is flippantly.
It is flippant.
Okay, I see.
Right?
I see.
You haven't put in the work.
Okay.
Then, yeah.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I feel like God has equipped me. I've been given natural skills and abilities.
I like how you brought God into. Well, this is the way God has made me to do things this way.
He's blessed us with unique gifts and talents.
Well, yes.
And if I haven't
thank
leveraged
goodness.
my gifts and talents first, I go, well, if I haven't done that, I'm not even worthy to go to God.
Okay.
And I get that that's not necessarily, that could be completely backwards.
Mm-hmm. I understand where you're coming from.
That's just my natural disposition.
But what like pops up in my head as you're saying all that, I'm like, gosh, if I did that every time I was going to take something to the Lord, I would never have time to take something to the Lord. Because I would just always be researching or gathering data points, as you like to say, gathering data points. I feel like, or maybe I do need to think more like you do, and you need to think a little bit more like I do. Maybe I do need to be a little bit more intentional with gathering more information before I pray. Like, what are your thoughts when I say that? Because I am like, I'm very quick to just, okay, well, let's pray about this thing.
Which,
you know what I'm saying?
Is great, because you should pray without ceasing. I get frustrated when people haven't done the thing that they can do, and they're praying about a thing.
Okay.
God,
I understand.
God, give me this daily bread. God, this situation. God, our marriage is in a bad spot right now. Can you heal it? And God goes, have you even talked to your spouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Have you even leaned in? Do you even understand your spouse? And when you haven't done the things, the basic
that
things
you can do,
I cringe.
Yeah.
And I go, duh, do the basic work so God can do the impossible. If it's possible and practical, you can do the practical. Let God handle the impossible.
That does make sense.
Let God handle the miracle work.
Sure.
Like, going and finding a job isn't miracle work necessarily, right? If you've not applied for any jobs,
Lord, give me a job. Well, have you applied for any?
Have you applied for any?
No.
Because I would like one to rain down from heaven.
But
like,
what if somebody is like, I want to make sure it's from the Lord, and so I'm waiting. I don't know.
I know it's hard because I'm not necessarily right on this, but I'm like, well, if you're supposed to provide for your family, like, just go get a job.
Like, doesn't matter which one.
It doesn't matter which one. Because God can use whatever job you're in.
Well, oh, absolutely. God can use anything for his good.
Right. And I think sometimes we want this big vision, this big unveiling, this big aha.
Oh,
and God
do.
just wants us in the day, in the, just
He just wants us to say yes.
Right. Do the thing. Be
Right.
open. Don't worry. You go down the wrong path, I'm going to let you know.
Oh, and he will.
Right. But I think
have no
when people
doubt.
sit there and freeze and like, I'm going to sit here and do nothing until God shows me a thing.
And that's me. I am guilty of when I am uncertain, when something is unclear, when something seems too big and too daunting and too challenging or too hard. And you and I have talked about this before, not on the podcast, but just in our life. Yeah. I do have that freeze mentality. Oh my gosh, let me just freeze because I have no clue what to do. And so instead of taking action, taking a step somewhere, and I do know that God will let me know. So I do know that. I do have that knowledge. But instead of leaning on that, I freeze.
Most of the freezing is from a place of fear, which is what we're called not to have.
Do not be
and
afraid.
So we love to go, God hasn't shown me yet. Or are you just afraid to move?
Well, and it could be either.
Right? It could be either, which goes back to you got to be so close to understand the difference. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we're not really leaned in on the difference. We want to just default to, well, until God actually shows me the thing, I'm going to freeze.
Because that's safe. Yeah. It feels safe and comfortable.
Right. And that's where I'm like, well, maybe you're really called to go, and through the going and in the doing, God is going to help.
You'll figure it out.
Direct you.
Well, you'll figure it out because he will guide your path, because we've talked about that too, that he does light up just enough of the path.
Yeah. But yeah, my point was not about holding off prayer at all. My point was I haven't done what I should be doing. I know that. Like when I know God's already told me you haven't done the thing you're supposed to be doing.
You haven't done your due diligence.
Right. So I don't feel worthy to go back to him. And because he's just going to go, dumb, you haven't done the small thing I told you to do. Mm-hmm. Why are you coming back to me?
Well, and I thought maybe it was more of just you being like, I don't know. Like, I do not want to do this unless I have all the information so I can speak eloquently and sound knowledgeable. Like,
you're kind of wagging your head at me when you say this.
I thought it was coming from a place of pride. And not the good kind of pride.
That's a fair assumption.
I'll just put that out there, and I'll be real.
I definitely don't want to look stupid ever. Right? So I do prepare.
Well,
so
you
I don't
married the wrong person. Hey-oh.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I thought it was kind of more of like,
if I can avoid looking stupid, I'm going to avoid looking stupid. Like that is, yes, I definitely have that tendency.
Yeah.
A lot of times in my avoiding to look stupid, I look even stupider.
You think?
And sometimes
stupider.
I mean, see, case in point.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that that's true, but yeah, I wanted to make sure. I wanted to know for myself, and yes, I did put you on the spot.
Yeah, so what better way to have a marriage conversation than in front of a hot mic on a podcast? That sounds
but again,
fun for me.
I can completely edit any of it, so I knew it was safe. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to know, is this a pride thing, or is it more of like I just want to make sure that we don't make the name of Jesus look bad, because you've talked about that before too.
No, it's usually a place of, and this is, again, I need to be much better with my prayer life. This is an area that I'm not great at, because too often, going back to the independence, is I do have a tendency to, what can I do? Let me first. Mm-hmm. What can I do first?
And I think it's because you are so capable and so gifted, which comes from God. Hang on, let me finish this thought. I don't know that you often come to the end of yourself. That leads to prayer, because you have a very large capacity to do.
Oh, I will avoid things that I think will lead to the end of myself. Right?
And when you are at the end of yourself, that's usually where prayer enters in.
Right.
Agree or disagree?
Yes, I think that's most people.
I mean,
When
it's
you're
a general
when you're getting
statement.
Point to desperation, you're like, okay, I've tried everything else. Now I'll try prayer, which is clearly
So
not
the
what we're called
opposite
to
of
do.
me.
Well, it's not what we're called to do either. But I think just I avoid any situation and think that I think I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to look stupid, or I'm going to lose.
So going back to, what started the podcast, which was prayer. I think you and I both need to find like that middle ground, I think, with our prayer life, because I probably am too quick to jump to prayer instead of doing some stuff first.
Why does it have to be either or?
Doing some work
I think
first.
the issue is not either or. It's do both. Do both.
Meaning what?
Do the thing as you're praying.
Oh, take the steps.
Right. Unless
you're
God
praying.
is clearly calling you to be still in this moment, that's hard for me. Like he's going to have to double down on that.
We have
clarity.
definitely talked about that
Right.
in a
Because
previous
I'm going to go,
episode.
that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. That's stillness, not what he's saying. Definitely not what he's saying. Until he literally like gives me the flu and I have no problem, no other options but to lay in bed for 2 days.
Because that is kind of how it happens
That's
with
what
you.
happens when I'm clearly know that God's telling me be still and I am not listening very well. I will get some kind of plague.
That's a bit strong.
Locust, frogs, something.
So please no.
Something. Yes, it will knock me out for days.
Yeah, but I do need to put more work in. I mean, that's a good other podcast episode as well, talking about how control the controllables and then let God do the rest. And I think I have been I know I have not been good at that. I think I default to prayer almost as a defense mechanism or an excuse, like, oh, well, I've prayed about it, but nothing's changing. And it's like, well, girl, you haven't done anything at all to change the situation except for pray. Not that the prayer part is a bad thing, but pray and not just pray, period.
Right. And I'm bad about I reserve prayer for when I'm at either I can't do anything, like health situations. I can't do anything about health situations. We talked about cancer. I couldn't do anything. So I'm like, clearly this is a pray through this situation.
Yeah.
If I feel like there's anything I can possibly do, I am trying to do that thing.
So I think our call to action, I think for us and for anyone listening who can identify with this and struggles in your prayer life and wrestles with, do I even take this to God? I mean, I do believe that God wants us to come to him with everything. I really do. I don't think, for a long time I felt like, there's so many other bigger problems in the world. Why in the world would God be interested in me bringing this to him? But I think just like we want our children to come and talk to us about even the smallest of details, we are children of God. He wants to be in the little details, the small things, the big things, the seemingly to us insignificant things. I don't think anything is insignificant to him. So I think our call to action should be to definitely go to the Lord. You don't always have to have all of the information before you go to the Lord, but it is also wise to do a little bit of digging, to do a little bit of research if there's something very specific.
Well, and this I think goes back to my struggle of, at the root, it's I want to have the keys to the car. I want to be the
What does that mean?
I want to be in the driver's seat. I want to be the one controlling things. That's still the deep issue there, right? It's still the deep issue that it's like, okay, I know I can't control this, so God, please intervene. But at my sinful core is I want to control the outcomes, the timing, the whatever.
So yours is total independence. Mine is complete dependence.
Right. Yeah, I think
which neither are correct.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this the other day about how your reliance on others, like you just naturally like, I rely on others. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that sounds horrible to me. I don't want to rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's my sweet spot. That's my comfort.
And so that bleeds into my faith journey of not wanting to rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, when you go back to the prayer, when you talk about give us this day our daily bread, mm-hmm. when you're so blessed that you don't necessarily need
bread,
God to meet the hierarchy of needs from a food perspective,
mm-hmm.
right? I need him to meet the spiritual understanding. I need him to remind me that, hey, you don't want to be in control. You don't want to be Lord. And sometimes those reminders are really hard and painful. And so then I do that fun mind exercise of, well, we don't want to admit that because then God will break me of that. And that was going to be painful and hard. Mm-hmm. So how do we still control the situation without wink, wink, controlling the situation?
I think it's really cute that you think you can control the situation.
I mean, intellectually, I know I can't.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't keep me from trying.
So,
what you got?
Pray. Pray without ceasing. I mean, God's word does say pray without ceasing. So, we, like I said at the top, we're glad you're here. We're wrestling with stuff just like you are. And if you would like for us to pray for you, you know what? You can email me. farmorepodcast@gmail.com because I would love to pray for our listeners. And if you're like, if you're like Jason and you're like, I'm just too independent to pray for it myself. Why do you
sound so aggressive? Well, change it.
Okay.
Hey, if there's areas of your life you're trying to control and you're not willing to turn them over to God, like that's the thing for me. It's like, show me those even blind spots of where I'm still trying to hang on to control of this area of my life.
Okay.
Right?
We can go with that.
They're either blind spots or you just intentionally know it. Yes, I know I've compartmentalized this over here, and I'm not willing to turn that over.
Yeah.
And say, no, God, you need to be in control of this area of my life because I've been trying to do it my way, my own way.
Well, yeah. And so maybe the first tiny step is to have someone else pray about it.
Well, yeah, especially even a lot of times we're like, hey, I've been trying to control this thing and it's not working. Okay, or what if you've been trying to control this thing and it is working? I think that's the hard part for me is a lot of times our own giftedness can get us
in the way.
Can get us pretty far, right? And we realize, oh, this is dangerous. This is not healthy.
Yeah.
How do I let this go even though I've been, quote, successful in this area?
Oh, that's really good. I never would have thought of it that way.
Well, success is the biggest limitation to future success. In a lot of cases, whether it's a business, a person, or whatever.
You're so smart.
Because you're like, no, it's just I've made a lot of mistakes.
So send it on over. farmorepodcast@gmail.com. It will stay between us. It's not going to be shared anywhere. I really enjoyed this. I know that you probably didn't, and that's okay. But I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this because prayer is hard. Follow us on all the socials. We are on TikTok, Facebook. If you're listening, we're on YouTube Shorts.
You can watch it on YouTube.
You can watch it on YouTube again to see the thinking face. And this one, there was a lot because, again, I sprung this on him completely unprepared. And we're so glad you're here. Keep coming back. Keep listening.
Your shirt says so.
So glad you're here. Yes, it's my happy shirt. I want everybody to know that. I mean, at least I'm so glad they're here. Are you glad they're here?
I'm glad they're here.
I think you need to say that with a little bit more.
I am so glad.
There we go.
You're here.
There we go. All right. Well, until next time, send us your prayer requests and we'll pray for you, okay? And I'll pray for you. Will you pray for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.